Joining us tonight on our Tech Tuesday Roundtable to talk about remote ham operations. So welcome one, welcome all. Something tells me with the conditions tonight we may be doing a repeat week one of these weeks when the conditions are better. But anyway, welcome to Tech Tuesday every week here on 3916. Tuesday nights we take a couple minutes and talk about a different technical aspect of amateur radio, from SDR to boat anchors, from towers to tuners, you name it. We talk about it on Tech Tuesday. And tonight we are going to be joined by several folks, if they've made it in. KJ5Y, Pat Cameron, down in Houston, Texas. He's got quite a remote operation that he operates. W5YTT Clint up in Arkansas, and KB0P FHF. So that's David Hickman, who are all hopefully available for us tonight. Let me see who's out there of the stations that I just called. How about Pat Cameron? Are you down there remote with us tonight, Pat? KJ5Y, KE5GGY. All right, no Pat. How about W5YTT Clint?
W5YTT, I'm here.
There he is. Good to hear you, sir. And David, KB0FHF. Are you with us, David? I don't hear anything. Anybody hearing David in the background there? I don't think he's in there. Well, this may be an abridged discussion, but we thought we'd at least talk for a couple minutes about remote operation. And, of course, with 1 out of 3 stations as a guest, we may be limited. But fortunately, we've got a really smart guy who did show up, and that's W5YTT. Hey, Clint, tell everybody what you're running as far as remote ham operation and why you got interested in that, and then we might be joined by some others as we get talking about this tonight. Good evening to you.
So stand by 1 second, Pete. Okay, I'm back, Pete. I'm sorry. I had to take care of a little business.
Oh, no problem. Anyway, give us a little rundown or a little summary of what you've done remote-wise with your ham station there in Arkansas, and what got you interested in remote operation.
Well, what got me interested was when I was streaming. I wanted to be able to turn my computer on. Of course, I run a Flex. I wanted to be able to turn it on and start a couple of programs so I could actually start my station remotely and actually stream the 3916 groups. That's what started me, and then it kind of grew from there.
And that's right, because you did the streaming for Santanet. I remember when you got into that kind of got you interested. And then eventually, like you said, when you got a Flex, that really gave you a tool, I think, to get into remote operation maybe easier than other radios might make it. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh yeah, Flex makes it simple. I mean, you just I guess you're hitting their server, I guess is what's really happening. But yeah, I can remote in, and to mine don't have to worry about firewalls or anything else. It just goes right on in, and I can be anywhere in the world as long as I got internet connection and operate my radio. What I also did, I got some homebrew stuff, and I'm not near as fancy as probably a lot of people who got it, but I've got a programmable automation controller that I've used, and basically that's nothing kind of like a PLC, if anybody knows what that is. And I've actually got a software that operates that running on my desktop, so when I actually turn my desktop on remote, I can start that up, and then I can turn on my power supply. I can turn on the radio. I can start my tuner and several different things. The only thing I can't do is my amp, and I could, but I just really, with a tube amp, I didn't want to operate that remote, Roger.
Roger. So, yeah, what have you done with your remote operation? How have you used it? Has it given you some capabilities, or is it just mainly fun to goof around with while you get on your radio from your laptop in the living room?
Well, here locally, there's two different aspects to it. Locally, in my house, I just walk around. I go to the other end of the house and with my laptop and actually operate my radio and not have to be in here in the shack. Remotely, when I'm actually away from the house, since I travel some of my job, I can take my laptop with me and I can actually get back on the air wherever I'm at and still enjoy ham radio. And I have done some of that, as you know. I haven't done it lately, but it is a lot of fun. And the only thing I can't do, like I said, is turn my amp on. So I've trained my wife. She'll come in here if she's here and turn my amp on for me. So it's already tuned, so I kind of do it that way. And that could, but like I said, I'm just really not into you trying to do a tube amp like that. But anyway, that's kind of what I got going on. And also, I got my meter. I can see my power out and everything. I've got it where I can remote it as well. So that's kind of what I got running here, Pete. W5YTT.
All right, very good. W5YTT, KE5GGY. Let's see if any of our other stations have come into the groups so far tonight. KJ5Y. Pat, are you with us tonight out of Houston, Texas? I talked to Pat on the way home this afternoon, so I was expecting to hear him. How about David Hickman, KB0FHF? Are you with us? All right, maybe they'll join us as we go. We want to take some questions and answers, Clint, and I know that there'll be plenty of those, but what do you recommend for anybody that wants to learn about remote ham operation? Are there any quick ways to get educated? What websites do you like remotehams.com? What resources have you used or discovered that helped you learn about remote operation?
Oh, man, there's a lot of stuff out there. If you just get on and Google it, you're going to come up with a whole slew of stuff that you can go and study and read about it. I don't guess any one thing. I just kind of look around the internet. Actually, to be honest with you, Pete, what I did on mine, I kind of did on my own. Like I said, I got that little programmable controller down here, and I built me a little circuit so I can turn the power supply on and off with it. And I kind of did some of that stuff on my own. And then the ham radio, which one's the ham radio remote? I played with it, and I've used my smartphone on it, and I tell you what, smartphone on it is pretty cool. You can actually use your Bluetooth device and drive down the road, and of course that's kind of cheating, people say, but you can actually drive down the road and not have to have a big radio in your truck. Like I said, a lot of people think that's cheating, and that's fine, but you can actually get on the air like that, and that's a lot of fun too.
Roger that. They say at some point you'll be able to lease out space on a remote station, and let's say a person has to move into a retirement community and won't have antenna capability, but they want to stay active in either contesting or getting on HF and doing what we do every night, rag chewing. Well, that day is probably here now where you could pick your station, pick your time, reserve the remote station, and just be on in your virtual radio, ham radio station, and still enjoy the hobby. So there's some applications of this that are pretty exciting to consider, especially as some of us, like I said, have to move from a location where we've got 7-8 wires up to a place that might be antenna restricted. As you went through your learning curve on this, is there anything else you could share with everybody listening tonight regarding remote ham operation that might save people time, save them heartache, save them money, or anything like that as it relates to learning about remote ham operation?
So the main thing I would do, I'd go to remotehams.com, and that's the website, remotehams.com, and there's a Getting Started tab at the top of the page. Click that, and man, it'll walk you through on just about any radio that you want to try to remote. It'll walk you through how to do it, and really it's not that expensive. You just need really a good internet connection. If you got that, and you read this little, well, as a matter of fact, I just pulled it up. I'm looking at it. It's a really good how to start, beginner start on remote your station, and you can remote different aspects of it. And I'd start there. Matter of fact, you can download this and just listen to people's radios and just listen to how they're doing it, and they're actually streaming it back on the internet. You can actually operate some of these radios if you get permission from them. So, and it's totally free, except for the software. I think the software's free. Now, if you get the smartphone version of it, I think they charge for that software, but the actual on the internet, it's completely free. So anyway, that's probably where I would start. That's remotehams.com.
All right, remotehams.com. We're going to put up links at the end of our discussion tonight to any of these websites that we talk about, remotehams.com. What about any of the other websites that are out there that might be popular? Are there any other websites that you used or any other resources you used to learn about remote operation?
No, not really. That's probably one I've used mostly. And then when Flex came out with the I call it the real remote. You know, they never did really have it where you could operate outside of your own local area network. And once they got that perfected, I use it now. I don't even hardly ever use remote hams. But like I said, it's there's so much there. You can go links from there to other places and learn all you want. And there's also a support forum on there too. And people are really more than anxious to help you if you have trouble.
Yeah, you're right. There seems to be a community of it's almost like Harley users. You know, the Harley guys stick together. The same thing's got to true with remote operation. W5YTT, this is KE5GGY. This is Tech Tuesday presentation on 3916. Now, let me call one more time for our other participants in tonight's discussion. KJ5Y, Pat, out of Houston, Texas. Pat, are you with us tonight? Good evening. And KB0FHF, David Hickman, are you with us tonight? Good evening. All right, nothing out there. Clint, before we take some questions and just throw it out to the group for any discussion or maybe some challenges that people are having as far as setting up the remote ham operation. That's the one thing that I think challenges people. There's a number of moving parts. Firewall. There's the radio gear. There's the computer side of it. There's a number of things that you have to get a handshake on from an equipment standpoint. We can certainly talk about that because I know you were messing with it personally, and you're a bright guy. So for us guys that aren't especially technically adept, I'm sure there's some things we're gonna have to work through. But anything else that you can think of to talk about before we open it up to the group for questions?
No, I don't guess, Pete. The only thing is I'm not an expert, guys. I mean, I'm a hobbyist, as everybody well knows, and there's people a lot more knowledgeable than me. But I have played with it, and if you hadn't done it, I encourage you to do it. It is a lot of fun. I mean, it's just the fact you can operate your station away from your home. It's pretty neat stuff. But anyway, that's about what I've got on it, Pete.
Comment.
All right, well, let's open it up for questions and any comments with Clint Yates with us tonight, W5YTT. We're talking about remote ham operation here on Tech Tuesday. This is KE5GGY. Who's out there with a question or a comment?
Comment. KC5NPC.
KC5NPC. There's Hubert. Come on in, brother.
Well, I just want to give you my remote experience. It involved 2 cans and a piece of wire, over.
That would be remote ham 1.0, right?
Absolutely, Roger.
Well, yeah. Have you tried any other remote technology? Have you gone on remotehams.com at all, Hubert? Anything like that?
Nothing like that. Never even thought about it yet. But it could happen, over.
Yeah, well, when you start thinking of, and I've used EchoLink, it's kind of a remote ham. When you think about it, it's not quite the same as using your own station back at your QTH. But yeah, it's very interesting. Do you think if they made it easy to do, you'd do it? If you could do it from your smartphone in the car, is that something you'd do?
I don't know about from the car or not, but I don't know. I just have to think about that one.
All right, good deal. Who else is out there with a comment or a question?
KF5UTM.
Hey, there's Jack in Louisiana, KF5UTM, KE5GGY. Good evening.
Good evening, Pete. Clint, I realize that the PLC that you're using comes from an instrumentation environment, in plants and stuff like this. Is that particular program, did you write that yourself to do what you wanted it to do, or was it something already that you could download? And also the apparatus that you're using to control the equipment, is that something you built, or you just using something like GE type stuff?
Yeah, both those are good questions I didn't really address. What I'm using is something that we used to use at work, and it's just a leftover product, and so I just kind of used it, adapted it. Since I used it at work, I knew how to set it up, and so you do have to set some logic up in it. But I'm actually using the vendor software to actually communicate with it and do what and set. So we got what they call remote bits. I can actually turn stuff on and off pretty easy with that. And that's what I'm doing. Now, a lot of other people have got, I think, commercial bought stuff that they have, but most everything I got is homebrew or something left over or something was going to be thrown away, Roger.
Copy. The actual equipment that's turning your stuff on and off, is that something you just fabricated?
No. It's a piece of equipment that was obsolete that I kind of adapted here in my shack.
QSL, got it. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks.
All right, good deal. Thanks, Jack. Equipment questions for you, Clint, as far as the PC you're using and the microphone specifically. I know you did some mixing and matching, some experimenting with a headset mic, and you found one that you like. Your comments on that, and then just generally any PC requirements that you would recommend if somebody's looking for, in particular, a laptop to use in a remote ham situation.
Well, anything, anything 1 to 7 and up, to run 1 to 7 up, you're good. Probably less than that, actually, but, you won't be able to actually access the internet with it. I'd probably get something 1 to 7 and up. As far as the processor and stuff go, an i5 is probably about the lowest I would go. An Intel i5, you don't even have to be a quad core. It can be just a duo. Will do just fine. And that's, as a matter of fact, one of my computers, it's not a quad, and it runs it excellent. Now, the one I have in here in the shack, which is a desktop, it's actually was a gaming computer I bought from a friend of mine, and it's pretty beefy, but you don't need anything like that. I just bought it from him because it was a good price on it. And I also use TeamViewer, and a lot of people don't know, but you can actually remote into your computer with TeamViewer from anywhere, and that's actually what I use to get back into my computer. As a matter of fact, TeamViewer will even start your power up your computer remotely. So if you got it turned off, as long as it's plugged in and plugged into the Ethernet, you can actually fire it up remotely.
Roger that. Have you, as far as using remote hams and getting on other radios, let's say in other countries, in other locales, have you done much of that? I know there's some rules and regulations to be aware of, especially if you start going on radios, for example, in Europe. But how much have you gotten into that?
Not a whole lot, but I have, locally I've talked to some people on their radios, locally, here in the United States. I've actually got on their radios, and one guy, I tried to get on it one time, he texted me, because he can text back and forth almost inside remote hams, and he said, man, you need some help? I said, yeah. And man, he walked me through it, and actually called me and told me how to do everything and set it up, and it's pretty neat. And a lot of those guys are more than welcome you to get on their radios remotely, and you have to send them, get permission from them, and they have to see your license and all that stuff. We have to get a license to even do it, so they have to see all that. So it's all legal, and it's pretty well walks you through it. But it is a lot of fun. And I tell you what's really fun is if you want to listen to yourself, see how you sound somewhere else, maybe across the country, and you find one that's just, with monitoring that, you can turn his radio to the frequency you're transmitting on. They actually hear what you sound like, remotely. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, Roger.
You use remote hams as well for monitoring. Is that a good site for monitoring, the band or monitoring your station from other locations?
Well, it is, but there's others out there too that don't allow transmitting. It's called WebSDR, I think, and you can actually tune in there. Matter of fact, I was clicking on that we're talking, and you can actually hear yourself. I think one of them's out in Arizona. I'll listen to myself on this sometimes, and you can actually record yourself on it, and it'll save it on your computer, and you can play yourself back, Roger.
Roger that. Hey, Clint's with us tonight, W5YTT. This is Tech Tuesday here on 3916. This is KE5GGY. And are there any other questions for Clint about remote ham operation?
Yeah, I've got a bunch, but I'm going to wait because it would take up too much time here, KE5AY.
All right, well, hold on, Jim. If we don't have any other questions, we'll throw it to you. Anybody else with questions for Clint on remote ham operation?
Hey, Pete, this is Dan about QB0FHF. I finally got in.
Or just either overdrive it or a bunch of RF on that. Try it again if you would.
This is QB0FHF. Hey, Pete, I'm the other guy on here. I just finally got in.
Yeah, okay, that is one of our guests tonight for the remote hams discussion here on 3916. That is KB0FHF, David. And David, are you on your remote ham operation, or how are you getting into that tonight?
I am sitting outside the hockey rink on my iPhone and just talking to you guys on my iPhone through my Flex rig.
Roger that. I think your audio might be just a little hot. You may want to take it down by maybe 20% to start out with. Is there any way you can back off on that?
There you go. I just dropped it about 20% there. It should be a little better.
Yeah, it is. I think you could go another 10%, and it might be pretty easy to hear you then. Try another 10% or so.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, let's try that for a second. So tell everybody how you're operating. You're on your iPhone. Where are you? Where is your radio, and how's that working?
Okay, I'm on a Flex 6300. I'm running the Power SDR on my iPhone, and I'm actually in Oklahoma City right now, for once. Usually I'm in another country.
David, you just lost your radio, I think, if you're hearing me. And your radio is also your audio is still pretty hot. I think you could take it down another 20 or 30%.
I'm just about 10 miles from home.
Yeah, we doubled a bit there. I think you can take your audio back about 20 to 30% again. And we lost you. I think you lost connection possibly with your server. You had a dead spot there for a couple seconds. Maybe repeat how you're set up to your remote ham operation there. Go ahead there, David.
Okay, let's try now. Guys, I don't normally do the iPhone part of it here, so usually, yeah, I see I'm overloading those here. Yeah, I don't usually use my iPhone for this, but
Well, this is interesting and certainly valuable. One of the things you got to be aware of is the technical limitations and also the technical challenges that are going to happen. And David, if you're hearing me, there's just some issues with your signal there. Both, I think it's mainly overdriving on audio, and then I think you're intermittent with your mobile signal into your radio. I think there's an interruption there of some kind. But let me see. I'm getting a text here from Matt Malika, and Matt is W5MIX is predicting that maybe you have the processor on, and if you can turn the processor off, that's an excellent suggestion, Matt. If you have the processor on there, Robert or David, that might be good for you to try to turn off. Anyway, try to give it another shot there, David. Maybe we can get a better copy on you.
okay, am I getting it now?
Yeah, you're still overdriving it, and I would agree with Matt. It sounds like you've just got a bunch of processing on that.
Yeah, this iPhone part I've never really tested. The only thing I talk to you guys on the net, I'm on my PC and doing the microphone that way. So, yeah, I'll back off here. It's not working well for me tonight. I'm not used to it.
Yeah, and again, this has been valuable because it's a good example of the fact that, and Clint, we'll go back to you for a second. I remember when you were setting yours up, it was, it was trial and error. It was hit and miss. I want to say for several, it seemed like maybe several days, a week or so, while you were tweaking it. The audio seemed to be, okay at first, and then you really got that tweaked. And now sometimes you'll come in on your laptop on remote hams, and it's kind of tough to hear the difference. I know your audio from your Flex when you're direct into the Flex, but I think you have a pretty good match. But my point is, it took a while to get all that set up, didn't it, Clint?
Yeah, it did. You have to kind of play with it and tinker around with it, and you gotta have a little patience. But it did take me a little bit to get it going, and doing it on a smartphone, like I think it was that David doing that on the smartphone, that's a little tougher because you don't have as much control over things as you do. Like on a laptop. So, that's a little bit tougher to do. I had mine working actually driving down the road on my Bluetooth, and it was, it wasn't like this quality audio, but it was, it was listenable anyway, Roger.
Are you on an Android or an iOS phone?
Well, remote hams only allows you to do Android. As far as I know, they don't have an iPhone app available yet.
Yeah, good point. All right, well, Clint Yates, W5YTT, is talking remote hams with us tonight on Tech Tuesday. This is KE5GGY. Who else has a question out there?
K5RBI.
K5RBI, South Texas. Hello there, Richard. Come on in.
Hi, Pete. Had a question. I'm using a Flex 6500, and I'm in the Mac system, Mac iOS, and right now I'm talking from my iPad through the Flex radio, which is in another room, as I watch the Astros. And every now and then my iPad just gets a real jerky, kind of a choppy sound to it, and signals don't go through real smoothly. Do you happen to know what might be causing that?
Did you hear that, Clint?
I heard some of it. You may need to relay a little bit. Is he asking? It's kind of choppy. His audio sometimes. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he's using an iPad to go back to his rig, and occasionally the audio gets choppy on the iPad. It sounds like he's just running out of processing power.
And which iPad is it? Is it an older one or is it the newer style?
Now, which iPad there, Richard?
It's the iPad Pro. It's the newest one out.
The iPad Pro, the newest model out?
Oh, that should work great. Now, I had an older iPad, one of the first models out, and it would do that. Matter of fact, I couldn't even use it. It was just too slow. But unless it's some kind of latency issue, I'm not sure why. It ought to work great, though.
Right. Weren't we just talking about the fact that this stuff isn't really set up for iOS yet, or is it when you go to the desktop version?
Well, the iOS, he got that off Flex's website, I'm sure. Is that right?
You get off of Flex there, Richard?
Yeah, and I hear him very well, and you also, Pete. But every now and then it just seems to be like a communication issue between the network and the Flex radio or something, and it just gets real choppy for a few seconds, and then it goes away. And it hasn't been choppy here for the last 2 minutes, but I don't know what's causing that choppiness.
Wonder if that has something to do with with traffic. Are you using your home's internet, or is this mobile? What's your web source or your access to the internet, Richard?
That's a good point, Pete. I'm using the home network, and maybe there's just so much going on with that, with DirecTV and different things like that might eat up some bandwidth. Maybe if I went to my cellular data, that might fix it. I'll try that. That's a good idea.
Well, I'm glad we could help you, but it's really interesting. And again, another and that's the other thing, Clint. It seems like everybody's application or everybody's way of getting this done is a little bit different. What Richard does is different than what David does, different than what you do, different than what I do. It just seems like there's so many different combinations that you can get on the air with. That presents a lot of different variables that need to be managed. So, what else, Clint? Anything else come to mind as we talk about all these technical issues that can come up?
Well, no. One thing I would recommend highly, if you're at home and you're walking around your house, just accessing your radio, inside your house behind your own firewall, make sure you got a good router. Because I'm telling you right now, if you got a router, and the way things are now, there's so much stuff over the internet, there's so much Wi-Fi in your house, you don't even realize it, and it'll really clog up. So, make sure you get a good router. Don't cheap out on the router.
Question.
All right. Was there another question out there?
Yeah, I forgot what it was right now, but walking around your house, I don't have an iPhone. I don't have that kind of stuff. Tablet. I give all my tablets to the grandkids, and so what do I use? What can I use? How can I go about it and do it? I'm getting into it as we go right here now. I've already registered with membership on remote hams and everything, and I'm going through the process, so I'd like to know how I could get on it without having some of the more specific stuff that you talked about.
Okay, you're talking about you want to go to another room and just operate your radio while it sits in your ham room? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, now, also, I have had Wi-Fi, and I took Wi-Fi out, and my internet and everything runs so much smoother and faster now, being that I've done that. So, do I need to bring Wi-Fi back?
Well, yeah, but you need to make sure you got a good Wi-Fi. A good router, wireless router. Because I know this from experience. The last one I had it for a while, and like I said, in my house, I've got so much stuff that's sitting at Wi-Fi around here, and you don't even realize how much you get going on it. You may not have that much around because you live by yourself, Jim, but I had a bunch, and when I got that better router, man, everything improved. I didn't have any more drops. the latency dropped and was a lot better on it. It just everything improved completely with it. So, but if you're in the house and you want to operate, if you look, I know you said you went to remotehams.com. You look at that, get started. It tells you a device you can get. And I'm not sure about the 7300. I'd have to research it. I think it's what you're running. I know you can do it. I'd have to research and see exactly how to do it. I'm pretty sure it'd be easy since that's just a SDR radio.
Hey, Clint?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, take a couple more questions. I've got to run to 3855 for a minute and do the Wayback Machine, but I'll be back. Just keep it going, and I'll be back in a minute. KE5GGY.
All right, sounds good. W5YTT. Jim, you got any more questions? Or man, I'm no expert on this, guys. I'm just sharing my experiences. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, I've got a couple of Wi-Fi units here, but they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're junk, and they're supposed to be good ones. I paid quite a bit for one or two of them, and I went back to Cisco, to a little old bitty flat, one of the basics, and it runs the best. So, of course, I am hooked up, like I say, hardwired, from my ham room, so it doesn't, slow me down or anything. But I'll think of more questions later on. I do appreciate you and your answer, your help. KD5AY.
Okay, Jim. Hey, man, like I said, I'm no expert. I just share what little I do know. I think I heard another station in there. Come on back.
Yeah, I think I doubled with the other station there. And another guy told me y'all were having a discussion about remote operation, and I'm operating on remote hams. I have my station set up in Central Texas on remote hams, and my call is Kilo Foxtrot 5 Golf X-Ray Zulu.
Okay, well, tell us what you're running.
I'm running a ICOM 706 Mark IIG, and have an old Dell tower running Windows XP with a custom-made interface I bought off eBay from a guy in Great Britain that goes in between the 706 and the computer, to interface it, and running on satellite internet. And I would agree with the router thing. I think I need to put a new router in line. I have an old Linksys router running WRT 54G on it. Seems to work okay, but I do have some dropouts occasionally.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I'm going to tell you, excuse me, I bumped my mic. But, the router does make a difference. I upgraded mine, and like I said a minute ago, it made a big difference. And like I said, everybody, the way the technology is growing, you'll have a TV, it might be a smart TV, and it's connecting back to the internet on you, and then your son or daughter may have one if you get kids, and before you know it, everything in the house is going to get on internet Wi-Fi, so it takes a lot of bandwidth.
Oh, yeah. If you got some youngins, they're going to suck up your bandwidth. Luckily, where I'm at, I don't have much connected to it. Right now, only my radio and a few IP cameras are connected to it. And I'm limited on bandwidth running satellite internet because I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and people Netflix now, and that takes a lot of bandwidth, and I got my cameras on as well. Man, I got so much stuff on this thing. I told my wife, you almost need a commercial grade router, but I'm just kidding. But it does take a lot of bandwidth when you start doing that. So, and if you want to do your radio and you're behind your own router, or even if you're not behind your own router, you're out and about somewhere, and you do need something that's going to be pretty good performance. You don't want to cheap out on that. That's one thing I will say.
So, do you operate on remote hams? Do you have a rig at your house set up on it?
Well, yeah, I've got remote hams, but since the Flex came out with the 2.0 version, and they've got it where it's so easy to remote, I just use it now. Now, I still log back into my computer, so if I want to turn my power supply on, if I'm out and about somewhere and I want to operate, I still do that. But as far as using remote hams, I don't use it as much as I did because Flex came out with the remote and got it pretty well perfected. And it's just so easy to use it. And I was going to say something else about that. If you're going to use a smartphone, I think Android still works on remote ham. You may know about that, but that's a lot of fun. I have done that, and that's probably what I'll be using remote hams for now if I started using it again, Roger.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about remote hams. Cause I thought about trying to remote in with, running Windows XP. You can run remote desktop. I have a friend that does that, W5 TTS, Steve. He's up around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But the one thing I like about remote hams is the Android app. That's what I'm using. When people ask me what I'm talking on, I tell them a Motorola Droid Turbo and a Rode King RK300 Bluetooth headset. Of course, the radio's a Nikon 706 Mark IIG. But another thing I like about remote hams is I share my remote with 23 other stations. So, I like to share it and let other people, I have a few elderly people, like in nursing homes, stuff like that aren't able to run radios and set up HF antennas where they're at, so they can get in either with a tablet or a smartphone. The only thing that's bad about the app is it costs money. Yeah, it costs $10, but it's a one-time fee. Of course, you can always just get a laptop and download the software from remotehams.com for free and operate that way. KF5 GXZ.
Yeah, that's true. I just pulled up my router and looked at the map on it, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different items right now connected to Wi-Fi, and that's not including what I've got connected through Ethernet. So that just goes to show you, and a lot of it I didn't realize I had on here. My wife's Android's on here, her smartphone, the TV in the other room's on there, the printer's on here. I mean, it just adds up more than you think. Anyway, this W5YTT. Anybody else want to join in?
Comment.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Richard K5RBI again. I just wanted to let everybody know there's a power strip that is web controlled, so you can get this thing from Digital Loggers. And if you just Google Digital Loggers, they have different power equipment that's web controlled. And I've got one of those, and I use it to turn my radio on and turn my power on. Well, I turn my power on, then I turn my radio on. I can control the power to the computers. And I think it gives you, the one that I have gives you like 8 different 110 outlets that are controllable over the internet. You can go onto the website or to your particular website and turn on all your products and customize it to whatever you want to use. And then they also sell this little relay switch that I use that will work with the remote on and off connection in the back of the Flex 6500. Other radios may or may not have that remote ability, but you can use that with the relay switch, and it'll work to turn your radio on, and it works beautifully. It's just a great way to control your radio.
Man, I caught most of that. I got a tuner upper's killing me. I had to notch him out there, but yeah, and it's kind of light and it's noisy at night. But I caught most of what you were saying. Were you talking about those little boards you can order? I can't think. A Raspberry? That's what I'm trying to say. Those type boards.
Yeah, it's similar to a Raspberry. It's a digital logger web tower, and it's like a interface with the internet that you can control all 8 110 connection out, all these different outlets, and actually power up all the different things that you plug into it and give them names and all of that, but very customizable.
Okay, yeah, I've got a little, I think it's called the Novi. I think that's what this thing's called, and you plug it in USB to your Flex, and when you change bands, I got mine hooked to where when I'm using it, I don't have it hooked up that right now, but I have had it hooked up where when I change bands, it changes my antenna switch and changes antennas for me, and so you can do all that remote too, and it's automatic. So, yeah, man, there's so much stuff out there. It's just like ham radio, you can get as deep into it as you want. So anyway, anybody else want to jump in here and make comments or take over or whatever? It's W5YTT.
And I'm back, Clint.
All right, P, I'm going to give it back to you, man.
All right, thank you for your time today, Clint. We're at 9. Well, we still have plenty of time. If there's questions about remote ham operation, let's throw it out to the group. Any questions anywhere? This is KE5GGY.
Yeah, I just want to say good evening to you, Pete. I hopped in here because I operate on remote hams. Ring me out here, KF5GXZ.
Yeah, I heard you earlier. You sounded good. Did you tell everybody what your setup is? Did you kind of run down that for the group?
Oh, basically, I'm running an ICOM 706 Mark IIG and an LDG auto tuner, the Z100 Plus, and I just have a resident 123-foot dipole and British V up about 45 foot in the air.
And you are remote, via remote to that radio, is that correct?
Yeah, I have it hooked up to an old Dell tower running Windows XP, and I'm on satellite internet. I'm out in Limestone County, Central Texas, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's the only way I can get internet, and I'm actually operating through my cell phone and a Bluetooth headset.
That's neat. Well, your connection seems good. The audio is really, really solid. You know, that's one of the things that seems to be a little bit of an issue or something that you have to adjust is, you know, I hear remote guys on remote that either don't have a lot of audio, you can't hear them really well, it's bad quality, or you'll hear what we had like with the station that just came in a second ago where it was just not set up right. So it seems to be something that needs to be tweaked. I just like any other radio, you got to make sure your audio's set. What was the biggest challenge for you as you set up your remote operation?
RF from the radio feeding back into the sound card on the computer. And I jokingly say that I have a metric ton of ferrite beads on that cable interface between the radio and the computer. But I probably literally do have about like 40 or 50 ferrite beads on that interface.
Wow, that was that big of a challenge, huh?
Oh, yeah. I still have a little bit of RF that gets in there with my audio. Sometimes after it rains, you know, characteristics of the antenna change, stuff like that. And I'll get some RF in there. You know, detectable. Not it used to be it would get so bad that the RF was louder than my audio, and you know, nobody could copy me. But of course, I've been messing with this for about 2.5 years now.
Wow. Is there any way to manage or deal with the latency between the computer and your radio? I notice there's even a little pause with you. I've heard it in other people. Is there a way to manage that, or is there a way to minimize it? How do you deal with that delay?
Well, no, the latency is not between the computer and the radio. I mean, that's like instantaneous. The latency is the internet. When I used to live over in Houston, I had AT&T U-Burst. You know, I had a pretty reliable internet connection, and my latency was usually like maybe a quarter to a half a second, you know, maybe 1 second max. But running on the satellite internet, it can get as great as 2, 3, 4 seconds at times. You know, it's just, you know, especially running satellite internet, you know, I'm beaming a signal back up to space and coming back down to Earth. So, you know, I'm actually talking through satellites.
Well, that is interesting. So you're using Directway or Hughes or whatever the satellite service is?
Yeah, it was Wild Blue when I first started. Now I think it's called Exceed. I pay like $65 a month for 10 gigabytes of bandwidth.
Very good. Well, good deal. Thanks for being with us tonight, and I'm going to throw it out to the group one more time for any other questions on remote ham operation, questions, comments, stories, anything regarding remote ham operation. Come on in. With JD, I think that was JDH. Was that is that correct?
Roger. K5 GDH there, Pete. I want to ask what kind of software are you running to remote it?
That's BB K5 GDH. Wondering what the software was that you're running to remote with.
I'm running the remote ham software. It's called RC4, Romeo Charlie Foxtrot Oscar Romeo Bravo. If you go to the remotehams.com website, you download the RC4 server to set up on the computer that you're going to be connecting to the radio. And then you can download the client software on a laptop, which I use my laptop sometimes, but most of the time I use either my tablet or my cell phone. On the Android market, you can download the app for $10, the RC4 app.
Okay, then a remote ham and search for the RC something for. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, good deal. Any other questions? Any questions, comments, stories?
What was the rest of that after RC4?
After RC4, what was the rest of that?
So I was just saying that's the name of the software. You know, it's on remotehams.com, but the name of the software, there's a client and a server. If you're trying to set up a remote, if you're trying to connect your radio to a computer to put it on remote hams, you download the RC4 server software, and then they have the client software, which all the software on the internet on their website is free. But then I was talking about the application. If you have an Android phone or tablet, you can download the RC4 application. It costs $10, and then you can operate it off your cell phone.
K5GDH, the question there, is there any other equipment that's required to connect to the radio?
Well, that depends on what kind of radio you have. You know, like these newer radios, the ICOM 7100, I think that's a popular one, as well as the 7300. It has a sound card built into it, and all you need is a USB cable that goes from the radio to your computer. I'm using an older radio, an ICOM 706 Mark II G, and the interface that I bought is a custom-made interface. There's a guy on eBay in Great Britain that makes them. When I bought it, it was $75. The price has come down. I think they're $45 now. And it plugs into the 13-pin DIN connector on the radio, and there's a 3.5 millimeter connection that controls the CIV codes, and then the parallel port that plugs into the computer, and then there's two 3.5 millimeter plugs, one for the microphone and one for the speaker on the sound card.
Okay, I'm using a TS2000 Kenwood.
About the TS2000 Kenwood.
I'm using a TS2000 Kenwood.
Okay, I got it that time. TS2000, I have a friend that has a TS2000 on the air. I believe that has some kind of a USB interface on it. You just plug it in, and I think it was pretty much plug and play for my buddy. Now, some radios you can't get them to connect to the remote ham software, to the RC4 software directly, the server software. And but if you can get it to connect through Ham Radio Deluxe, you don't have to get the paid version of Ham Radio Deluxe. I have the last free version of Ham Radio Deluxe. I actually have my radio interfaced directly with the remote ham software now, but before I got some help getting that done, I connected with Ham Radio Deluxe, and then you can set remote hams, the RC4 software, to connect to Ham Radio Deluxe, which connects to your radio.
Roger. Thanks much, K5GDH.
All right, thank you, BB. What's the call sign there again on the remote station?
Sure, Pete. Kilo Foxtrot 5, Golf X-Ray Zulu, and my name's Randy. Romeo Alpha Mike Echo Yankee. I don't get out here too much, but Mike, KWG down in Louisiana, got on 3822 and told me this conversation was going on over here, so I came over here.
Yeah, Ramy, I know you well. You've checked in many times. Final question. We're getting down to the last few minutes here of the Tech Tuesday discussion. As far as rigs that are the easiest to set up for remote ham operation, you mentioned the 7300 as having just a USB connection that basically enables it to be connected to a computer and therefore sent out to the web via your internet connection. Any other transceivers? The Flex would probably be on that list. Any other transceivers that make the list of easier radios to work with?
Yeah, basically any of them that have a sound card built into them. The ICOM 7100, the 7300, I believe the Kenwood TS2000 has a sound card in it. The Flex, Apache Labs, any of the SDRs. Actually, I don't know anybody that has SDRs on remote hams, but I know people that have SDR radios that they run remotely. So basically, just a newer radio that has a USB plug on the back of it.
All right, good deal. Well, we're going to put all this information up on the Facebook page, Ramy, and if you wouldn't mind, you're in the 3916 Facebook group, are you not?
No, I actually am not. I Facebook a little bit. Actually, I think I am. Because I get updates from the freewheelers, so maybe I am, but I don't get on Facebook all that often.
All right. Well, if you have a chance, look at what we put up there. We'll put a summary of the links and some of the discussion points that have been presented. And if you see anything you want to update or change, feel free to do so. Our thanks to a number of stations that have contributed to a pretty good discussion here on remote ham operation. Of course, we want to thank Clint, W5YTT, in Sheridan, Arkansas, for coming in. KB0FHF, David Hickman. David, thanks for coming in briefly. And again, thanks for all your encouragement to people. David's very active on our Facebook group, has been supportive to hams that are trying to get this set up. Also, in a future Tech Tuesday roundtable, we're going to get Pat Cameron in here, KJ5Y. Pat has one of the more involved and several stations that are available on remote hams, and he has really embraced this remote ham technology and capabilities. So we'll have Pat on another night, KJ5Y. This is KE5GGY, Pete, here in Denton, Texas, and we want to thank you for being part of this Tech Tuesday discussion. Every Tuesday, we try to tackle a different aspect of amateur radio, whatever is making us scratch our heads, guys, from towers to tuners, from boat anchors to new radios, SDR, whatever you're thinking about. It can be a topic for Tech Tuesday. And because of this, if you have a thought, an idea of a future Tech Tuesday topic, just let me know. I'm good on QRZ. My email address is ke5ggy@gmail.com. Kilo Echo 5 Golf Yankee @gmail.com. Again, if you have any ideas for future topics, just let me know. A couple things we've got coming up in future weeks. Shack safety, that'll be a topic in the coming weeks. Emergency preparation, both for power and for food and for security. So that would be the prepper version of Tech Tuesday. Buy and selling radios, buying and selling, do's and don'ts. Mobile FAQs, to ground or not to ground, that is the question. That'll be a future Tech Tuesday. Elmering somebody in your area. Audio, we've had one already, Tech Tuesday discussion on audio, but we'll be coming back to that. And then also another, and these are all things that have been suggested from emails, how to deal with an HOA. we could spend an hour, maybe a couple hours on that. So again, Tech Tuesday is your night, and if you have ideas, just let us know. We want to get a good discussion going every Tuesday. Again, thanks to our stations that participated tonight. This is KE5GGY here in Denton, Texas, and this concludes this edition of Tech Tuesday here on 3916. We're close enough to 825. Let me just welcome a couple of stations that are out there that have checked in on the net locker, and then we're going to get the ham code read and get into the tailgaters. N5XUZ, hello Ray. AF5J, there's John and Whit.